Mazel tov. Okay, let's try to do this. Samech Ches Amud Beis. Zok the Gemara. Tashma. Zaklal. 3 lines on the bottom. This is the rule. Kol shehaya psulo b'kodesh. Eino mitame begadim abeis abliya. So we said that if the psul is with the avoda, then you stay pure. That's how we're going to talk today. You stay pure when you eat it. Again, you're not doing the right thing in the first place. But the question is, do you stay pure, or do you become tameh when you eat something that was not shachted, not malika, not whatever, right? So we said if the problem was with the avoda, there was nothing wrong with the actual animal when it came to the Beis HaMikdash, then if there was just a problem with the avoda, then if you eat it, you will stay pure. Says Rabbi Yochanan, kol asuyei zar. So the kol, where it says anything that was a problem with the avoda, what does that include? That includes a zar. A zar is not supposed to go ahead and do the avoda. So if the zar, like we said yesterday, 3 lines on the bottom, we said that a zar goes ahead and he does the malika, so it will remain pure, and if you eat it, you will not become tameh. That's what kol is. El l'Rav l'asuyamai, according to Rav, who says that a zar who does the avoda, a zar who does the malika, so the person will actually be tameh if they eat it. So what is kol shehaya psula b'kodesh eino mitameh? It won't make him tameh. Says the Gemara, whenever you have a good question, ask them back a question. Ulutamecha shelo haya psula b'kodesh l'asuyamai. And according to you, the opposite, where it says that you are going to be mitame because there was something wrong with the actual animal, what is that including? Ella, it must be reisha lasuye shchitas kachim bifnim, seifa lasuye milekas chulin bachutz. No, we're not talking anything to do with zar. We're talking about something totally different. What are we talking about? We're talking about shchita or malika. What does that mean? The reisha, where it says that there was something wrong with the avoda and therefore you're still going to remain pure when you eat it, that's talking about shchitas kachim bifnim. Kachim, you're supposed to do malika. We're talking about birds. You're supposed to do malika of the birds inside. If you do the shchita of the birds inside, then even though you didn't do the right thing, you'll still be pure if you eat it. Seifa, which says that you will not be pure when you eat it, you will become impure, that's malikas chulin bachutz. We know that chulin needs to be shachted bachutz. If you do malika of chulin bachutz, it's as if you just take the bird and you smashed it. It's a nevela. If you eat it, then you will become tameh. So those are the 2 things. Kani kavase de Rabbi Yochanan. There's a brisa like Rabbi Yochanan who again holds that a zar who does the malika, you will still remain pure if you eat it. Malake zar, malake pasul. If a zar or a psul kohen does the avoda, does the malika, hapigol v'anosa v'atame, or if the offering becomes pigol, nosa, or atame, ein mitamena beis habliya. Again, we have a tiny kavazid Rabbi Yochanan, you remain pure if you eat malika that was done by a zar, even though it shouldn't have been. If malika is done by a zar, you will not become tameh if you eat it. Good? Amar Rabbi Yitzchak. Shamati shtayim, I heard 2 things. Achas kamitza zar, v'achas malika zar. I heard 2 things. One of them was the kamitza of a zar, and one of them is the malika of a zar. Achas tered v'achas lo tered v'lo yadana. One of them needs to be removed from the mizbeach, and one of them does not need to be removed. And as we said yesterday, that if something needs to be removed even after the fact, then if you eat it, the equivalent law would be if you eat it, you will become tameh. And if it doesn't have to be removed after the fact, then if you eat it, you will not become tameh. So he says that between malika and kamitza, again, kamitza by the korban mincha, taking the flour in your hand, between the malika and the kamitza, neither one of them should be done by a zar. But one of them, if they're done by a zar and put on the mizbeach, you do not have to remove it, i.e., if you eat it, you will not become tameh. And one of them, if they put on the mizbeach, you need to remove it, and if you eat it, you will become tameh. Well, if we're going to be like Rabbi Yochanan, so then we're hoping that Rabbi Yitzchak, if he's going to be holding like Rabbi Yochanan, what's he going to say? He's going to say that the malika of a zar, if you eat it, you will not become tameh. That's what Rabbi Yochanan says. But let's see if that's what he says. Says the Gemara, he doesn't know which one. Amar Chizkiya mistaber kamitza ter malika lo ter, like Rabbi Yochanan said. Rabbi Yochanan wasn't talking about kamitza, but he's talking about malika. It's understandable and it's mistaber that by kamitza, if a zar does kamitza and puts it on mizbeach, it needs to be removed. Therefore, if you eat a korban mincha that the kamitza was done by a zar, you will become tameh. And like Rabbi Yochanan, that if you go ahead and the malika is done by a zar, then if you put it on the mizbeach, it doesn't have to be removed. And therefore, like Rabbi Yochanan, if you eat a korban that was malika by a zar, you will not become tamei. Says the Gemara, Maishna Malika. Why should Malika be any more makil than Kamitza? That if a zar does it, you will not become tamei if you eat it. Diyashna bebama, because we know that Malika applies even by a bama, that they used to do Malika even by a bama, when they would bring the korbanos on a bama. Kamitza nami yashna bebama. But we know also that Kamitza applied by a bama. So if you're going to tell me the whole reason for Malika is because it applied by a bama, so too Kamitza applied by a bama. It should be the same exact halachas. V'chitema in mincha b'bama. So you might argue that what? No, they didn't do any Kamitza by a bama. The problem is that we know elsewhere that there's an opinion that holds that there are two opinions. There's one opinion that holds that there is Kamitza by a bama, and there's another opinion that holds that ain't Kamitza by a bama. But we know that if you hold that there's Kamitza by bama, then you also hold that there's ofos on the bama. And if you hold that there's no kamitza by a bama, that means that there was no korban mincha b'ra in the bama, then you also hold that there was no oaf by a bama. So you can't have one and not the other. You can't say, according to this, yeah, well, it was done there, the malika was done on a bama and kamitza wasn't. Either they were both done on a bama or neither was done on a bama. And if they were both done on a bama, then you can't tell me that the reason that malika of azar is not going to make you tamei is because malika of azar, because malika applied by bama as well. Because kamitza also applied by bama. And if you're going to tell me that Malika didn't apply by Bama, and Kamitza didn't apply by Bama, so then why exactly is Malika of Azar not going to make you tamei? Says the Gemara, Chiteme in mincha b'bama ein ofos nami b'bama. Damar sheish l'divrei omer yesh mincha b'bama yesh ofos b'bama. L'divrei omer ein mincha ein ofos. So says the Gemara, my taima. So enach nami, what exactly is the reason, first of all, that the two things of ofos and mincha go together? Zvachim v'lo menachos, zvachim v'lo ofos. Because the word zevach excludes menachos and excludes ofos. So now you still have not given me a reason why malika bizarre, if it's done by a zar, malika bizarre, if you eat it, you'll remain pure. But if you eat something that was kamitza bizarre, you will not remain pure, you'll become tamei. What's the reason? Ela ema ein kiddush b'kli shares b'mincha b'bama. Because there's actually a difference between the two of them. And that is that in the mikdash, the mincha was placed in a kli shares before the kamitza. That means in the mikdash, before the Kohen would stick his hands into the flour, they would place the korban mincha into a special holy kli. That's not done by a bama. Only in the mikdash was the mincha placed into a kli shares. By a bama, the mincha was not placed into a kli shares. Therefore, the fact that a zar can do kamitza by a bama might just be because what? Because there's no kli shares. But in Echanami, a zar in general cannot do kamitza. But we know that if a zar can do malika by a bama, which we know, then you can compare it to the mikdash. That means, again, we're trying to figure out what happens if a zar does malika, a non-Kohen does malika in the mikdash. What's the status? Of course, it's not the right thing. Can you eat it or not? It's okay. They'll see me. So if a zar does malika in the mikdash, so we said that if a zar does, stop. That if a zar does malika in the bama, then we know that, again, a zar is not supposed to do malika in the bama. But if he does, quote unquote, then, okay, a zar is not supposed to do malika in a bama, and he's not supposed to do malika in a mikdash. There's no difference between bama and mikdash. Therefore, again, we can say that a zar who does malika in the mikdash will not be metame. But again, by a bama, there's a difference between kamitza. The fact that a zar can do kamitza by a bama is dafka because there's no kli sharis involved. But maybe a zar would not be able to do kamitza in the mikdash, or quote unquote, we should say, if a zar does kamitza in the mikdash, then it will in fact make you tamei. So you can't compare the two, but you can compare by the malika, and therefore just like over there, the malika will not make you tamei, malika in the mikdash will not make you tamei either. Zak the Gemara. So it comes out again, just so that we know, malika in a zar, not the way to do it, but malika with a zar in the mikdash, if you eat it, you will not become tamei. Kamitza with a zar, if you eat that korban mincha, you will become tamei. Says the Gemara, malak bismol o balayla. If you do malika with your left hand, or at night, so again, it's a problem in the avoda. You didn't do the right thing, but if you use your left hand for the malika and you eat it, you will not become tamei. Tan rabbanan yachol tehei malika shehi lifnim mitame begadim bebeis habliya. So you might think that malika, which is done inside, and the Rishonim explained that this means that malika, which was illegally done, it was done with a psul, i.e. malika was done, let's say, with your left hand. If your malika was done with the left hand, you might think that you become tamei. Talmud lomar nevela. Only if you eat a nevela do you become tamei. Not if you eat something that was done malika with its left hand. Says the Gemara, hainami nevela. I don't understand. If you did malika with the wrong hand, if you did a pasul nevela, by definition, a pasul malika is nevela. You're telling me nevela excludes if you do malika with your left hand. Why? If you do malika with your left hand, it's as if you didn't do malika at all. If you didn't do malika at all, you have a dead bird in front of you. It's as if you just have a dead bird that died. You can't eat that thing. And if you eat that thing, we know if you eat a dead bird, you become tamei. So why exactly is malika with your left hand not considered to be a nevela after the fact? Says the Gemara, Ela Talmud Lomar Treifa. You're right. From the word nevela, to say that only nevela you become tamei for eating, that you would have to include malika that was done with your left hand, a pasul malika. So why do we exclude malika that was done with your left hand? Why do we say that if you eat that animal, you don't become tamei? Because of the word treifa. That in order to become tamei, when you eat something, it needs to be like a nevela, but it also has to be like a treifa. What does it mean like a treifa? Ma treifa she'ein materes esa iser, af kol she'ein materes esa iser. That what it means is that in order to be tamei when you eat it, it needs to be like a treifa in the sense that when something becomes a treifa, when an animal becomes a treifa, nothing becomes permitted. It's not like, okay, your animal became a treifa, so now you can eat aver min achai. There's no such thing. That when an animal becomes treifa, it becomes more prohibited to you. Whatever the prohibition was beforehand, aver min achai or dam or whatever, there's another prohibition now of treifa when it becomes a treifa and nothing else becomes permitted. However, that's not true by malika. Yatsa malika shehilifnim, because we said that if you do malika inside, even if it's done bipsul with your left hand, hoil vihi materes es ha'isr ein mitame begadim bebeis habliya. This goes back to what we said yesterday. The halacha is that when you do malika inside, you did it with your left hand, so you didn't do it correctly. But we said yesterday that when you do malika on your left hand, or you do malika illegally inside the Beis Hamikdash, if you put it on the mizbeach, it doesn't have to be removed. And we said yesterday that anything that's put on the mizbeach which doesn't have to be removed, by definition, when you eat it, you will not become tamei. And therefore, treifa, which there's no kula after you go ahead and you do anything to a treifa, you shechta, whatever you do, treifa just becomes more usher, it's forbidden. It has to be like that in order to make you tamei when you eat it. This malika is not like that because, again, malika, even if you do it the wrong way, it's matir in a certain sense that it's matir now that if you put it on the mizbeach, you don't have to take it off. Therefore, if you eat it, you will not become tamei. Says the Gemara, Hevi hamolek. But now this includes hamolek kachim bachutz umolek chulin bein bifnim bein machutz. This whole exception was if you go ahead and you do malika bifnim, if you do malika bifnim and you do it in a psul way. So we said if you do malika bifnim, obviously again, malika bifnim in the right way, you're good. Everything's fine. Malika bifnim in the wrong way, everything's not good, but if you eat it, you're not going to become tamei. But now the Gemara is saying anything else, malika bachutz, or if you go ahead, malika bachutz, or if you do regular shchitas chulin, or you do malika, on chulin, which you're not supposed to do. You're supposed to do shchita on chulin, a regular animal. You're supposed to do shchita. You only do malika on kachim, a bird that's kodesh. So if you do malika bachutz, or you do malika bein bifnim, bein bachutz for chulin, then those things do not become good, and if you eat them, you have to remove them from the bech, and if you eat them, then you will in fact become tamei. So the only thing you will not become tamei for is if you do malika on kachim bachutz. Says the Gemara, if you do malika bekachim bifnim in the wrong way. Hevi amole kachim bachutz umole chulin bein bifnim bein bachutz hoel ve'ein matir nesa iser mitamin begadim beis habli. Again, because all of those situations, if you put them on the mizbeach, you will have to remove them. Therefore, if you eat them, you will become tamei. Tanya idach, yes, it's not easy. Tanya idach, another brisa. Yachol tehei shchitas chulin lifnim v'kachim bein bifnim bein bachutz mitamei beis habli tamalom anavela. So this opinion actually holds the opposite. This opinion holds you might have thought that if you shecht chulin inside, again, get the concepts. Chulin outside, if you shecht, perfect. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to take a non-kosher, you're supposed to take a non-holy animal, a non-kosher animal, and shecht it outside. If you shecht a chulin inside, which you're not supposed to do, or if you shecht a kachim inside or outside, which you're not supposed to do, a bird, because you're supposed to do malik on it, according to that, you would have thought that you'd be matame. Talmud lomar nevela, it's not like a nevela, and therefore you're not tamei when you eat it. The exact opposite. We just said that you'd be tamei in all those situations. Here we're saying you're not tamei. Hanami nevelahi, but there's are nevelas. Ella, why are you not tamei when you eat those three things? Talmud lomar treifa. for another reason, because it has to be like a treifa, but now a different type of limud. Ma treifa shave bifnim kibachutz. When something is a treifa, it's equally forbidden, even if you shecht it, and it's equally forbidden whether you shecht it inside or outside. A treifa is a treifa is a treifa, and it's the same thing inside and outside. Says the Gemara, Av kol shavos bifnim kibachutz. The only things that are going to make you tameh when you eat them are things that are like a treifa. Things that are like a treifa means that the same halacha applies inside and outside, whether you shacht it or do malika inside and outside. If something's not like a treifa, even if you didn't do the right thing, but if the halacha of inside and outside are different, it doesn't fall into the category of being like a treifa, and even though you didn't do the right thing, when you eat that thing, you will not become tameh. What's an example? The things. Yatsa shchitas chulim bifnim, the kachim bein bifnim bein bachutz, like we just said. Hoyo v'lo shavu bifnim kibachutz, emetam begadim abeis ablin. I'm going to have to explain exactly why. But he's saying that shchitas of chulin bifnim, or shchita of kachim birds, bein bifnim, bein bachutz, since the outside and the inside are not the same, they're not comparable to a treifa. If they're not comparable to a treifa, then by definition, when you eat them, you will not become tameh. Now we need to explain what we're talking about. Bishlama chulin lo shavu bifnim kibachutz. I understand chulin when you tell me that shechting chulin inside and outside of the courtyard is not the same, because obviously when you shecht it outside, what happens? It's perfectly fine. If you shecht it outside, it's not nevela. If you shecht it inside, it doesn't help the nevela status. Therefore what? Since they're not the same inside and outside, at the end of the day, even though you did the wrong thing by shechting it inside, if you eat it, you will not become tameh because it's not comparable to treifa. But where do you see a difference between kachim inside and outside? Ela aidi v'aidi psulin. When you have kachim, whether you go ahead and do the shechita inside or outside, it's not going to work. The only time it works is inside with malika. So if you do kachim, if it's the same inside and outside, then when you swallow that after it was shechted, you should be what? You should be chayev for, you should become tameh. Amarava, no. Im ho'ilu lo shchitas chutz l'chayev v'kares lo to'ilu lo tahara midei nevelis is very interesting. The Gemara is saying, you're right. When it comes to why if you eat chulin that was shechted inside, you don't become tameh, because it's not like treifa. Because chulin inside is not okay, chulin outside is okay, therefore it's not like treifa and you don't become tameh. Why exactly do you not become tameh when you eat kachim that was shechted, whether inside or outside? Because I'll give you a kal v'chomer. Let's start with kachim that was shechted outside. What happens if you shech kachim outside? What happens if you shech kachim outside? What? You chayev kares. If you shecht a bird that's kachim outside, you're chayev kares. Says the Gemara, 1 second, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't tell me that if I shecht a kachim bird outside of the azara, I'm going to get kares, and you're not going to let me eat it. If it's good for the shechita to give me kares, then it's good enough to say that it's not a nevela, and if I eat it, I don't become tameh. Now, of course, I'd rather have the opposite. I'd rather not get kares and become tameh when I eat it than get kares. But basically, the argument to the Gemara is you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't say to me that it's good enough, shechita, when you do shechita, which you're not supposed to do, it's good enough if you do it outside of the courtyard, it's good enough to give you kares, but it's not good enough to say that it was shechted good enough to go ahead and make you tameh. That means you can't have both. Does this make sense? You take the thing and you shecht it outside of the courtyard. We're trying to figure out if you now eat that thing, do you become tameh or not? You shouldn't have shechted the bird outside the courtyard. You should have shechted the bird. You shouldn't have shechted the bird at all. The bird should have been malikad. So now you go ahead and you shecht it outside. You take kachim and you shecht it outside. It should have done malika inside. You shecht it outside. What do we say? You become tameh when you eat it. The Gemara says, that's ridiculous. I understand I shouldn't have shechted it outside, but how can you make me tameh when I eat it? You're telling me that I get kares for shechting it outside. If you're giving me kares for shechting it outside, clearly in your mind, Torah, I did something to the animal that was a quote-unquote kosher shechita. You wouldn't have given me kares if the shechita wasn't kosher. So if it's kosher enough to go ahead and get kares for, it should be kosher enough that if I eat it, I don't become tameh. That's the Gemara's argument.
He's getting karet anyway, let him enjoy it.
Right, because again, you're right, but it's not a punishment. You're right, but it's not a punishment. It's not a punishment. But that's sort of the argument. The argument is, you're getting kares, let me enjoy it. Again, it's not exactly the argument. The point is that I'm getting kares, I shouldn't become tameh. Again, I'd rather you tell me that I don't get kares for shechting it outside, and I can't eat it, and I'll become tameh when I eat it. I'd rather become tameh when I eat it than not become tameh when I eat it, but get kares. But the Gemara's argument of why when you eat kachim that was shechted, why when you eat kachim that was shechted outside, you do not become tameh, the Gemara's argument is based on a kal v'chomer. Because if I'm going to give you kares for shechting it outside, then I can't tell you that you're going to become tameh when you eat it, because clearly the shechita was okay.
Tameh is not considered a punishment.
It's just a mitzias. Yeah. It's a mitzias. It's a fact. Mitzias means a fact. The mitzias is that this is a key. It's just what you find. Mitzias literally means what you find. The detail, whatever, what you find. It's a mitzias is. Okay. Hold on tight. Says the Gemara. So now we've explained why kachim that was shechted outside, if you eat it, you don't become tameh. But what about kachim that was shechted inside, which should have been done malika? Why, if kachim that was shechted inside, if you eat it, should you not become tameh? Why not? Says the Gemara, because now what? Now we say the halachas are different. Now we say you get kares for shechting outside. You don't get kares for shechting it inside. Therefore, once they're different, now they're not in the parsha of treifa, and now you go ahead and you say that if you eat the one that was shechted inside, you will not become tameh. That's the argument.
That's the case. What are we dealing with inside right now?
We're dealing with you shechted a bird that's kodesh inside. You're supposed to do malika. Or you shechted a bird that was kodesh outside, which you weren't supposed to do anything for. You're not supposed to do anything. You're supposed to shecht the kodesh inside, and you're supposed to do malika inside. So we said if you shecht it outside, so now lemaisa, if you shecht it outside, you don't get tameh if you eat it. Now if you shecht it inside, you're not going to get tameh if you eat it either, because again, since you get kares for outside and no kares for inside, the halachas are different. If the halachas are different, it's not in the parsha of treifa, it's not in the parsha of treifa, then you do not become tameh when you eat it. That's what the Gemara is about to say. Ashkechan chutz panim minalan howev lo shavu bifnim kibachutz, like we just said. Says the Gemara, ihachi mala kachim bechutz nami lo de lo shavu bifnim kibachutz. So the Gemara says, so I understand though. Why did you tell me in the Mishnah that if I do malika of kachim outside, I'm supposed to do malika of kachim inside? You told me that if I do malika of kachim outside, then what happens? Then I become tameh if I eat it. But I don't understand. Malika of kachim inside works. Malika of kachim outside doesn't work. The two things are different. If they're different, we said it's not in the parsha of treifa. If I eat it, I shouldn't become tameh. Says the Gemara, you're right, but you're wrong. Why? Says the Gemara, Amar Rav Simi Barashi, Danin davar shelo behechshero, mi davar shelo behechshero. Ve'in danin davar shelo behechshero, mi davar shebehechshero. What does that mean? What did we compare before? Before we compared shchita of kachim outside, shchita of kachim inside to shchita of kachim outside. Are you allowed to shech kachim outside? No. You allowed to shech kachim inside? No. Therefore, you can compare the two, because both of them are davar shelo behechshero. Davar shelo behechshero means something that wasn't valid. Just like if you do the shchita outside, which you're going to get kares for, but you're not going to be tameh by eating, so too, we can compare it to the inside. If you do the shchita of the bird on the inside, which was kodesh, you're not going to get tameh. But now you want to do what? Now you want to compare malika of inside to malika of outside. You want to say, well, the reason that you're not going to become tameh when you do malika outside, when you do malika outside, you're not going to become tameh for eating it, is because it's different than malika inside. But malika inside is not, malika inside is good. You can't learn from something that's good to something that's not good. And therefore, again, it comes out that if you shecht kachim, bird, inside or outside, and you eat it, you will not become tameh. If you do malika on a kachim bird inside, of course, everything's fine. That's what you're supposed to do. If you do malika on a kachim bird outside, you will become tameh. Those are like the general things you always want to get the bottom line. Says the Gemara, Velo, do we not davar shelo behechshero mi davar shebehechshero? Do we not learn malika mibachutz from malika bifnim? Do we not learn things that are not valid from things that are valid? But what are you talking about? Vatanya minayin li yotzei shemalo lo yered sharei yotzei kosher bebama. We know that something that's not valid, and we learn it from something that's valid. How do we know that if you take a korban out of the courtyard and then you put it onto the mizbeach called yotzei, you don't have to take it off? We learn it from bama. What do you mean? How do you learn something that's not valid from something that's valid? Bama, you were allowed to put it on the bama. You were allowed to take it out of the courtyard by bama because there was no courtyard. How can you then learn to the mikdash where there is no such thing as yotzei by the mikdash, where there is no such thing that it's valid? It's not valid. Says the Gemara, you're right. How do you know? You're right. You have to give me a different reason. We don't learn from bama. How do I know that if I put an ola which left the grounds of the temple, how do I know that if I put that on the mizbeach, I can leave it there? Says the Gemara, it's exeris hakasav tana zos toras haola riba samachle. That if I go ahead and I take it out of the thing, if I take it out of the Beis HaMikdash, Eina Chanami, I can leave it there only because of Exeris HaKasav. Let's do the Mishnah. That was the easy part. Zak the Mishnah. Malak v'nimseis treifa. Now we're going to have three opinions, and you get only to the middle of the next daf if you have to leave early. We're going to start from the middle of Samach Teslam Beis, where it says Rabbi Yehuda my time. We'll start there tomorrow. Zok the Mishnah, Malak v'nimses treifa. If you do malika and you find it to be treifa, so I did malika on a bird, I did it the way I was supposed to do it, inside, let's say, on kachim, but now I found it that it was treifa, means it was supposed to die within a year. I had no way to know that by looking at it. After I do the malika, I realized that it was supposed to die within a year. So malika v'nimses treifa, have a good day. When you do the malika and it's found to be treifa, there's three different opinions. Says Rabbi Meir eino metame bebeis habliya. If I do malika and I find it to be a treifa, I'm not allowed to eat it. But if I eat it, I will not become tummy. We'll have to explain why. So according to Rabbi Meir, if I eat malika, then if I eat a treifa, malika that was done, and it was a treifa, if I eat it, I don't become tameh. Rabbi Yehuda omer metame. Rabbi Yehuda says, if I do malika and it's a treifa, then I'm tameh if I eat it. Skip to the end of the Mishnah. Rabbi Yossi omer, daya kinevelas behema, shchitasa mitarasa velo melikasa. Comes along Rabbi Yossi and says, no. I agree with Rabbi Yehuda that if you do malika and you find it to be a treifa, then you cannot eat it, and if you eat it, become tameh. I argue only by shchita. I hold that by shchita, if you do shchita, then it can purify the animal to the point that you're not going to be tameh. The Rishonim explain that there's three opinions, and they're both talking about malika and shchita. Again, the first opinion, Rabbi Meir, is that both malika and shchita on a bird, even though you weren't supposed to do shchita on a bird, both malika and shchita on a bird purifies the animal. If you did the malika / shchita, it purifies the animal to the point where even if it's a treifa and you eat it, you don't become tameh. The other extreme is Rabbi Yehuda, who says that both malika and or shchita, if you do it and it's a treifa and you eat it, you do become tameh no matter what. And Rabbi Yossi's in the middle, shchita that you do and it's a treifa and you eat it, you will not become tameh. Malika that you do and it's a treifa and you eat it, you will become tameh. Says the Gemara, says the Mishnah, Amar Rabbi Meir kal v'chomer. So Rabbi Meir, who says that both shchit and malika can purify a bird. So where does it go? It can purify a bird to the point that if you eat the treifa, you will not become tameh. Where does Rabbi Meir learn this from? Kal v'chomer. V'im nevelas behema shemitama b'mago v'masa shchitasa mitarasa treifasa mitumasa nevelas ha'ov she'en mitame b'mago v'masa enodin shedei shchitasa mitarasa treifasa mitumaso. And then ma matzinu b'shchitaso she machsharaso la'achila mitaras treifasa mitumaso af milikaso she machsharaso ba'achila titar treifasa midei tumaso. What is this talking about? Well, let me ask you the question. What happens if an animal, again, get the general concepts. What happens if an animal drops dead and you touch it? You'd become tameh, magu b'masa. What happens if a bird drops dead and you touch it? There's no tumah. What happens if you shecht an animal and you find it to be treifa and you eat it? No tumah. Which is more machmir, a bird or an animal? An animal. Because if you touch an animal, you become tameh. If you touch a bird, you don't become tameh. Says the Gemara, kal v'chomer. If you shecht an animal and it's a treifa and you eat it, you don't become tameh. Kal v'chomer, a bird, which is on a more makel level, if you shecht the bird and it's a treifa and you eat it, you don't become tameh either. Because again, an animal is on a quote-unquote more machmir level that if you touch it, you become tameh. And yet if you eat it and it was a treifa and it was shechted right, but it was a treifa, you don't become tameh. Kal v'chomer, a bird, which if you touch, you don't become tameh. Kal v'chomer, if you shecht it properly and you eat it and it's a treifa, you will not become tameh. Kal v'chomer. How does that help us? We're talking about malika also. Then we have a mematzidu, then we compare it to malika. In what sense? We said that we know that just like shchita is machshir a bird or is machshir an animal to eat, we can apply the same thing to malika, which is machshir certain birds to eat. And therefore, at the end of the day, malika and shchita will be the same. That's why, again, Rabbi Meir holds that both malika and shchita on an animal, on a bird, on an animal, will go ahead. Well, not malika on an animal, but both malika and shchita on a bird, which is what we're talking about. If, in fact, you do it and then you eat it, you will not become tameh. That's Rabbi Meir's reason. For says Gemara, Rabbi Meir lo darish dayo. Does Rabbi Meir not learn dayo? What does that mean? V'hadayo de'araisehu. That means, according to Rabbi Meir, how can you go ahead and learn from an animal to a bird and then extend it basically? It means I understand. If you want to learn from an animal, kal v'chomer, you could say just like by an animal, if you do shchita and it's a treifa and you eat it, you don't become tameh. By a bird, if you do shchita and it's a treifa and you eat it, you don't become tamei. But how can you go ahead and extend it now to malika? Malika doesn't apply by animal. What's the halacha? Again, another concept. What's the halacha? We say that there's a halacha of dayo lavo min hadin lios kanidon. Important halacha in Gemara. Important concept. When you make a kal vachomer from something, you can say kal vachomer to this, but you can't make it that's even greater than this. It means if I learn that this is expensive, and therefore this is also expensive, whatever, I can't say that this has something that this doesn't have. I can make it equal. When I make a kal vachomer, I can make it equal. Just like when I eat this, I don't become tamei. When I eat this, I don't become tamei. But I can't then say that, just like when I do that here with talmud shchita, and I'm going to extend it to malika also. That I can't do. That's dayo lavo min adin. When you make a din, when you make a kal vachomer, lios kanidon, it needs to be like the thing that you learn from. So the question of Rabbi Meir is, I understand that you want to learn shchita by a bird. If you shecht a bird and you eat it, you don't become tamei. But how can you extend that and make it even more makil, quote unquote, than the source, which is shechting a animal? Rabbi Meir lo darish dayo v'hadayo deraisahu. Again in Yana Diyoma Detanya. Midin kal vachomer ketza. Where do you see you have a kal vachomer? V'yomer Hashem al Moshe v'avia yarok yarak b'faneh. How many days would Miriam? Well, it's interesting. The Gemara, Miriam got thrown into cherem, thrown out of the machane for 7 days. The Gemara is learning how long would a father send a person out of the machane, or how long would a father send somebody out of the house if he was upset at them? For 7 days. Kal vachomer, if Hashem's upset at somebody, he should go ahead and he should send them out for more than 7 days, for 14 days. Somebody pointed out in the first half that they saw a note that a mother contributes 5 parts to a person, and the father contributes 5 parts to a person, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu contributes 10 parts to a person. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu contributes double the amount of parts that a father and mother contribute, and therefore you would expect that if HaKadosh Baruch Hu was commanding Miriam to be sent out of the machane, as opposed to a regular father sending him out, so if a father sends out for 7 days, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu sends her out for 14 days. What's the problem with that? Well, kal vachomer, you're making a kal vachomer. Saying kal vachomer, just like a parent would send out for 7 days, kal vachomer, when God sent out, we're going to go ahead and he would also send out of the camp. Right? If he was punishing, just like a father would send out, HaKadosh Baruch Hu would send out. The problem is, how long would a father send out? It's an interesting concept. A father would send out for 7 days. If you're learning a kal vachomer from a father to God, you can learn that God will send out, but you can't learn that God will send out for more than 7 days. Because the basis was a father sending out for 7 days. If I want to now learn that a doctor will send out also if somebody does something wrong, I can learn from a father. Again, this is not a good example, but it would be a good example the other way. If a doctor sends out of his office for misbehaving, and he sends you out for a week, then for sure a father would send a kid out of a house for misbehaving for a week. But you can't say that for sure a father would send a kid out of a house for a month, because the doctor who you're learning from only sends out for a week. So that's where we see dayo lavo min adin. So what do you see over here? You learn that dayo lavo min. So everybody agrees. That's a deoraisa din. So how can Rabbi Meir argue on that? And when he's learning from shchita of an animal, learn to malika of a bird. You can learn from shchita of an animal to shchita of a bird. You can't learn from shchita of an animal to malika of a bird. That's what the Gemara is saying. Kal vachomer l'shchina arba'as hayom ela dayo lavo min adin lios kenidon. So Amar Rabbi Yossi b'Rabbi Abin, Rabbi Meir kra ashkach v'kadash. You're right. Rabbi Meir, when he says that both malika and shchita can purify, i.e. if you eat the animal after you did malika and or shchita, if you eat it, you do not become tamei, if it's a treifa. That's from a pasuk. Zos Toras HaBehema V'Ha'of. Because we see that there's a comparison between Behema and Of. It's not based on this Kal Vachomer. It's based on a comparison between Behema and Of. V'chi Be'eza Torah Shafsa Behema L'Of Of L'Behema. Where is a Behema and an Of the same? Behema Mitama B'Magu Masa. Efa no Mitama B'Magu Masa. It can't be that a Behema and Of are the same, that if you touch one, because we know that it's different. Behema, if you touch, you become tamei, and oaf, if you touch, which is dead, then you don't become tamei. So it's not similar in that sense. How are they similar? Oaf mitame begadim abeis abliya, behema inu mitame begadim abeis abliya. And if you want to learn that if you eat a behema, which was, again, I guess a treifa, if you eat a behema, then you would not become tamei, and an oaf, you would become tamei. So what's the comparison between behema and oaf? It must be ma behema davar shemachshira la'achila mitar treifasa mitumasa. The thing, what's the comparison between an oaf and a behema? The thing that allows you to eat a behema, if you do that thing, and it's a treifa, even though you shouldn't be eating it, if you eat it, you will not become tamei. So too, the thing that allows you to eat a bird, if you do that thing and it's a treifa and you eat it, you will not become tamei. What's the thing that allows you to eat an animal? Shchita. What's the thing that allows you to eat a bird? Malika. So we can learn kal vachomer from shchita of an animal to shchita of a bird. How do we know malika? Not from that kal vachomer, because that would be dayulav min adin. How do you know malika? From the pasuk that compares a behema to an oaf. That just like the thing that enables you to eat a behema, i.e. shchita, if you go ahead and you shacht and it's a treifa and you eat it, you will not become tamei. So to the thing that enables you to eat a bird, i.e. malika, if you go ahead and do malika and it's a treifa and you eat it, you will not become tamei. We'll pick up here tomorrow. Mitzvah Hashem.